The VapePassion Show, episode 49. In this episode, we're going to talk about the best and worst vape gear of 2016, why synthetic nicotine might not be classified as a tobacco product, why you should peel off your battery stickers, how to cleanse your palate with e-juice, and a New Jersey vape shop taking shots at the FDA with a new poster in their window. Hey, welcome back to the VapePassion Show. This is episode 49, and I'm recording this on Sunday, January 1st. And just a reminder, if you're planning on buying a vape product anytime soon and you want to help support this show, go to vapepassion.com/vendors and buy from one of my links. I'll get a small commission for referring you, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. So I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great celebration. I didn't go out this year because we didn't have a babysitter, but that's okay. I watched the ball drop on TV, and I had fun listening to the excitement outside. My neighborhood, they always do a really big, loud celebration. Everybody in this neighborhood celebrates. There's always illegal fireworks going off everywhere, and it's just a lot of fun. So my daughter, she'll be 4 years old for the next New Year's celebration, so maybe she'll be able to stay up later and we can see the fireworks next year. And last week I did a segment on pairing e-juices with wine, and I'm wondering if any of you were able to use some of those tips for celebrating New Year's Eve. And if you did, let me know how those pairings went. I'm really interested in hearing about that. So I'm on my last few days of vacation right now. Tomorrow's my last day actually. I used up my vacation time at the very end of the year, so I've been off of work for a total of 10 days now. It's been really nice. I got a lot of stuff done around the house. I spent a lot of time with family, and I did a lot of relaxing. So it's going to be hard going back to work, but I've got to pay the bills. So let's talk about what I'm vaping on this week. So first I have the iCare. So I bought this from 101vape.com, and they delivered it in like 3 days. I've ordered from them before, and every time it's really fast. So I really like this thing a lot. If you don't know what the iCare is, it's a beginner device. Something a smoker might want to use when they just get into vaping. It's really easy to set up and use right out of the box. I'm really liking it so far. I actually bought 3 of these, one for myself and then 2 for my wife's parents, who I'm hoping to get off of cigarettes. It'll be a late Christmas present for them. And I also ordered some high nicotine e-juice from Vape Wild in flavors that should be more appealing to smokers, like tobacco, pipe tobacco, and menthol. But I also got them a couple of my favorite dessert flavors so that they can see how many options are available to them. And in this, I'm vaping Drake's Vapes YOLO, which is like I think it's a lemonade. It's not very good, to be honest. This is 24 milligrams nicotine, which I bought specifically for the iCare. So I don't know if their flavors are better in lower nicotine, but I think this kind of tastes like vinegar, so not very good. But yeah, so that's what I'm vaping in there. And then I'm using the Faro dripper tank. That's that Rip Tripper RDA. And I mean, I've been using this off and on for about a month now, but I'm finally going to start using it a lot more so that I feel comfortable enough doing a review on it. It's really nice, actually. I've been enjoying it. And in that I have, this is a fun birthday Fetty cake from Perfect Vape. And then what else? Lastly, the Big Baby Beast. I've been using the hell out of this tank. I love it. And the flavor is so good, and the vapor production is just very satisfying. I finished my review for this over the weekend. It'll be up on my website and on my YouTube channel by the time you listen to this show. It's definitely one of the best tanks I've ever used. Oh, and on what I'm using it on is the IPV-D3 DS, something like that. I don't know, nothing special. It's just a little single battery mod that I've been using. I'm actually really liking that too. It's not a great device, but it's very simple and it's small, so I like it. All right, and before we get into some of the topics of this week, let's do a beer pairing. So this week I have Shipyard's Pumpkinhead. This is a seasonal beer from Shipyard Brewing Company out of Portland, Maine. It's a wheat pale ale with spiced flavor. It's one of my favorite beers, and I can't wait for the holidays to roll around every year so that I can pick this up. The owner of Shipyard also owns Sea Dog Brewing Company, and they make the best blueberry wheat ale I've ever tried. Both Pumpkinhead and Wild Blueberry are extremely hard to find, unless you live in Maine probably, but it only comes to Colorado around the holidays. So most liquor stores, they actually put a limit on how many of these beers people can buy because they go out of stock so quickly. So if you see them in a liquor store near you, definitely pick them up if you can. You'll probably have to wait until October now, unfortunately. So anyway, Pumpkinhead is supposed to pair well with gingerbread flavors or sweet and cake flavors. I don't have anything gingerbread, so that's why I have my Faro dripper tank loaded up with a fun birthday Fetty cake. So I'll be pairing it with that. So let's give it a shot. Oh man, that's such a good beer. Huh. You know what? I think that this might not have been a good pairing because the flavor of the beer is too strong. And birthday Fetty cake from Perfect Vape is usually really sweet, and I can barely taste it. So I think the beer is just drowning out that flavor of that e-juice. Let's give it a shot with oatmeal cookie. That's what I got in the Big Baby Beast. Yeah, it's good, just like birthday Fetty cake is, but also the flavor of the beer is just drowning out the flavor of the e-juice. So might have to find something sweeter. All right, let's get into the topics this week. So let's talk best and worst vape gear of 2016. So everyone is doing their best of 2016 videos right now. I don't get nearly enough products, either that I buy or that are sent to me for review, to be able to do a really good list of products. But just a short list of some of the products that I really like include things like the Goon RDA, the Sub-Zero RDA, the Wotofo Conqueror tank, which a lot of people don't know about, but it was a great tank, and the Smoke Big Baby Beast tank. And about that Conqueror, I actually liked it so much that I bought a second one when I saw it on sale. The S-Stock tank was also one that I really liked, but the Big Baby Beast kind of pushed that one down a spot when I got that. As for e-juice, I've tried a lot of e-juice this past year, but I absolutely loved Slaughter Pops from Lost Art Liquids. That's an Otter Pops popsicle flavor. That was probably my favorite of the year and almost of all time. It's super sweet though, just so you guys know. It still hasn't beaten out my love for Smurf from Vaporgate, which is a blue raspberry Slurpee type flavor, but it's very close. I also really liked Baristocrat from DIYVaporSupply.com. It's a caramel cappuccino flavor. Dairy Maiden from Perfect Vape, which is a strawberry custard. That one was also really good. Unfortunately, Perfect Vape, they were those guys that were caught making e-juice in unsanitary conditions, but the flavor was really good, so I just had to mention it. I do really like that flavor, and I still vape it because I still have some, and I'll vape it until it's gone, but I probably wouldn't buy from them again, unless they've changed the way they make their e-juice. I was also a really big fan of Enjoy's beginner products. I loved their pre-fill tanks and the little Enjoy Daily Cigalikes. Just recently, I've also been testing other beginner devices like the Sync from Vape Forward, the MyJet from Wismec and My Vapors, and the iCare from eLeaf, like I just mentioned. All of those, they're good in their own ways, but I think the iCare is the best of all three, in my opinion. I also have the Juul from Pax Labs on the way, which I think is probably going to beat out the iCare, at least if the reviews can be believed. Now, as for devices, I didn't really get much of anything in 2016. I used the iStick 100 watt TC pretty much the entire year, and it's what you see me use in nearly all of my reviews. It's a sturdy device and it performs well. I also got the Kanger Drip Box last month. That one I also really like. And I've also been doing a lot more DIY this year, especially near the end of the year. My two favorite recipes would have to be Addie's yogurt and barbecue sauce. So Addie's yogurt, it's just a good fruit yogurt flavor. Barbecue sauce, that's not something I'd vape every day, but the flavor was so on point that I was just really impressed with it. So with my measly best of list out of the way, let's take a look at some of the top choices from the big reviewers. The reason I chose these reviewers is because they test so many products, practically everything worth reviewing. So they would have the best insight into everything currently on the market. So Daniel from DJLSB Labs, he mentioned his best beginner device is the Inokin Endura T18. The best single 18650 would be the iStick Pico. The best dual 18650 would be the Smoke Alien and the SX Mini Q class. His best touchscreen device would be the Smoke G Priv. As for RDAs, his favorites are the Goon RDA and the Faro from DigiFlavor. His favorite single coil RDA is the Og Vape Merlin and the Og Vape Merlin Mini. His favorite dual coil RDA would be the OBS Engine. Favorite RDTA is the iJoy Limitless, Classic, and Combo. All pretty much the same tank really, with minor changes. His favorite lower wattage tank was the S-Talk tank from Vaporesso. His favorite mid-range wattage tank would be the Smoke Baby Beast and the Big Baby. And his favorite high wattage tank would be the Smoke TF V8. And then Vaping Vic from the UK. So his favorite RDA is the Petrie V2 and the Goon RDA. He also had an honorable mention of the Troll V2 and the Velocity V2. His favorite squonker is the Hobo Drifter squonker. His favorite clearomizer that performs under 50 watts is the S-Stock tank. His favorite clearomizer over 50 watts would be the UL D1, and he had an honorable mention of the Smoke TF V8 series tanks. His favorite mech tubes are the Rogue and Kennedy. His favorite regulated mod is the Vapor Flask SX, but he also liked the RX 2/3, the Minikin V2, and the DNA 200 E-Fusion. And his favorite RTA was the Goblin Mini V3, and he had some honorable mentions here too. The Coil Art Mage, the Azeroth Dripper Tank, the K-Fun V5, and the Watofo Conqueror. Oh, and the Merlin Mini. All right, now let's talk Mike Vapes. So his list included, for single coil RTA, he had the Amit Geek Vape and the K-Fun V5. For dual coil RTA, he had the OBS engine, and that's actually why I bought the OBS engine, because of the high praise that Mike Vapes gave it. I haven't used it yet, but I did buy it. Then his favorite MTL RTA is the Cthulhu with the mouth to lung adapter. His favorite RDA of all of them is the Goon. His favorite single coil RDA is the Hadley and the Pharaoh. His best bottom airflow is the Reload RDA. His best bottom and side airflow is the Freak Show V2. His favorite custom LiPo mod would be the Boss 3000 from Vaporized Nomads, and everyone is talking about that one. Customized 18650 is the Boxer DNA 167. His favorite triple 18650 is the Lost Vape Triad, which is also a really popular one that everyone loved. Mass-produced dual 18650 is the IPv6S and the Smoke Alien. His favorite beginner device is the Inikin Enduro T18 and the Joytech AIO. His favorite RDTA is the iJoy Limitless Classic and the Combo, just like Daniel from DJ LSP. His favorite DNA 75 is a C1D2. His favorite mass-produced DNA mod is the Lost Vape Therion 166. His favorite sub-ohm tank was the SE1 by UL, and he also liked the Big Baby Beast and the TF-V8. And then his favorite drip tips come from Half Moon Mods. So he had a lot of stuff to talk about there. Vape and Fagan, another guy who gets a ton of products. So his favorite sub-ohm tank was also the UL SE1. His favorite RTA was the Griffin 25 Plus. His favorite single coil RTA was the Geek Vape Amit and the K-Fun V5. His favorite RDA was the Goon by 528 Customs. Also, he liked the Apocalypse Gen 2 and the Troll V2. The best general overall mod was the Minikin V2 and the IPv6. General meaning it's just good all around, but not the best at anything, just good all around. Favorite powerhouse mod was the iJoy Maxo. Now that's an interesting one because I haven't heard anyone talk about that one. Favorite mass-produced DNA mod was the Lost Vape 250 Triad and the Lost Vape Therion 166. Favorite custom box mod was the Boss 3000 and the Hexome V3. His favorite starter device was the Coolfire 4 Plus, and that's also very interesting because it's not a typical beginner device, but he said his reasoning for that was that he thinks that beginners should have a way to move up if they want to. And then his favorite vaping accessory was the Daedalus Coiler. So that's really interesting too. And if you haven't seen that, it's really cool. I haven't tried it, but I want one. They're just so expensive. But it makes it really easy to build Clapton coils. All right, and last on the list is the best of list from Grim Green. So his favorite RDAs included the Hadley, the Goldie from BMI, the Goon, and the Recoil. And then he had some honorable mentions, the Velocity V2, the Cosmonaut, and the Pharaoh. And then for tanks, his favorites were the K-Fun Mini V3, the Serpent Mini, and the Mage from Coil Art. His favorite sub-ohm tank was the V-God Trick Tank, and his favorite mods were the Axis Vapes M17, which is really expensive, the Praxis Banshee, the Boss Genesis, and the Hexome 3.0. Man, so there you go. That's a lot of products, and I hope I didn't put you all to sleep. But I really love when reviewers put lists like this together because I just don't have time to watch all of these reviews for every single device. So these end of year videos, they really help me to figure out what I should buy when I see a good sale. It would be kind of cool if these reviewers did a best of video every 3 or 6 months, since there are always so many products on the market. Anyway, if you want more details about why these reviewers made these choices, check out their videos. I've linked to them in the show notes. And now while we're on the topic of best products of 2016, I came across a thread on the Plumes of Hazard Facebook page asking for submissions for the worst products of 2016. I also did some searching around various forums to see what else people were saying. So let's go through that list. So there's the Moonshot, that people say it's fiddly, leaky, and it has a bad deck. I've also seen some people say that they really like this tank and that it doesn't leak. So could be a wicking problem, user error. Then there's the Rafael X. People say it has bad airflow. The Nautilus X, people say has bad coils and weird airflow, but some people also say they like that tank. The VGod Pro 150 is overpriced, has a bad paint job, and doesn't support stainless steel and TC mode, if that matters to you. The Vape Forward Sync. I saw a lot of people say this one. Poor quality pods and bad performance. And actually, like I mentioned earlier, I do have one of these, and I would agree with that. The Sync it's a good form factor, but the pods that I've tried so far are terrible. Okay, the VCMT tank by Vapors Cloud constantly leaks through the airflow control. That's not a tank I've ever heard of. The Dripbox 160, people say has a bad RDA. And I've seen a lot of people say that, but I actually don't think it's that bad. I've really been enjoying the whole setup. To be fair though, I haven't tried a whole lot of bottom-fed RDAs, so this is the only one I've ever tried, but I think it performs just fine. All right, the Wismic Theorem, people say has great flavor, but very weak glass, and that's something I've seen on Reddit a lot, on the e-cigarette forum. The glass breaks a lot, but I think that Fast Tech, they sell the replacement glass for really cheap, so if you do want a Theorem, or if you already have one and it has broken glass, you can pick it up from there. Then there's the Kabuki 510, which is practically like the Nautilus, but cost $100. People say it's also very difficult to build on the RBA base. Then there's the Notch Coil. No one's even talking about that anymore. That one died off, but people say it has great flavor, but a very short lifespan in hot spots. There's the Kinger Anybox, or Kneebox, leaks from the bottom. The Aspire Plato, the coils taste bad. The UL Crown V2 has terrible coils. UL actually reworked those coils, and people still said they're bad. And then they reworked them again, and now supposedly they're good, but it might be too late. All right, next on the list is the Noisy Cricket. People say it's just too dangerous and has poor quality manufacturing, and I do have one, and I would agree with that, but I do like it too. So I wouldn't consider it one of the worst products of 2016. I really liked it. Let's see, the EH Pro Bachelor tank. People say that it doesn't hold its vacuum, so it leaks really badly. The Sigelli 213 and the Fuchai 213, the biggest issue with this one was that the temp control didn't work right, but it did get very high praise from pretty much everyone for its wattage mode. So everyone seemed to really like both of those devices, but they just didn't like the temp control didn't work. Then there's the Squape X Dream. People say that it's beautiful, and you can see in pictures it is a beautiful tank, and it vapes well, but it's really hard to wick correctly. Either you get dry hits or you get flooding, so it takes a lot of work to wick that one right. And then the Troll V2, which a lot of people really loved, but I've seen people say that it has really tight O-rings, which makes it really hard to take the cap off, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. And then lastly, the Smoke Alien, which everyone also really loves. It performs great, but everyone is very unhappy with how the paint comes off almost immediately. So that's the list. We all have different preferences when it comes to vaping, and you might actually like something that I just mentioned, but I thought it could be a good list of products that you should avoid, or at least do some extra research into before you buy it. Because some of those products, they actually have very good reviews, but were only singled out for minor annoyances, such as the Moonshot, the Troll V2, and the Smoke Alien. But I think it's good for you to know these little annoyances before you buy, just because what might not be a big deal to someone else might be a huge problem for you. So what were my worst products of 2016? First on my list would be the IPV Janus tank. I got a few hits with no flavor at all, and then something shorted out on the tank, and I can't get it to work on any device. And then the Aromomizer V1 and V2. So everyone loved these tanks for their flavor, but I just didn't think it had great flavor at all, and I thought it even tasted a little off. I cleaned them really well with alcohol in the ultrasonic cleaner, and it just had a weird flavor, so I don't know what the deal was. And on the V1, the rubber airflow control, that was really bad, and both tanks leak like crazy for me. I just couldn't get them wicked correctly to not leak, so I don't know if it was my fault or the tank's fault. And then finally the Kingerbox 200. So it looks great and it hits hard, but it has a 1 or 2 second delay before it fires, and that delay just annoyed the hell out of me. So that's why that one made the list. And really, that's about it for me. I didn't have a lot of bad purchases or bad things sent to me. I really liked a lot of stuff this year. And now with all of the best and worst out of the way, you might have noticed that I didn't talk much about e-liquids. I did see a lot of reviewers talk about a few e-juices, but I didn't really want to compile a list. But e-juice companies that I did see consistently come up were Royal Vapes, Dinner Lady, Adore e-liquid, and Hit That Juice. So if you're looking for something new to try, check out one of those companies. And like I mentioned earlier, my favorite e-juice was Slaughter Pops from Lost Art Liquids. I like that one so much that I have a good feeling about all their other flavors. Remember though, that one is almost sickly sweet, so you might not like it. I'm also a really big fan of Enjoy's Artist Collection, but again, also extremely sweet. For complexity, I really liked the Arcadia Grand Reserva line from VIP eCig in the UK. Their flavors are much more subtle as far as sweetness goes, but very good e-juices. Bonsai Vapors, they were also pretty good. I've only tried Pound It, which is a lemon pound cake, and Milk Plus, which I thought was amazing. I didn't actually like Milk Plus a whole lot when I first got it, but now I love it. So yeah, there are just a couple of my own e-liquid favorites. All right, let's move on to some different topics. So according to a press release from Next Generation Labs, synthetic nicotine might not be classified as a tobacco product. Now, there's been a lot of talk about synthetic nicotine recently, especially after Next Generation Labs, the makers of synthetic nicotine, pointed to comments made by the FDA during the Nicopure and FDA lawsuit back in November. Basically, the FDA stated to the court that products not derived from tobacco are not regulated tobacco products under the current deeming rule. More specifically, here's what they said. Not all nicotine-free e-liquids, or NFLs, are subject to the deeming rule. Assuming an NFL is not made or derived from tobacco, it is subject to the rule only if it meets the definition of a component or part. That is, if it is intended or reasonably expected either 1. To alter or affect a tobacco product's performance, composition, constituents, or characteristics, or 2. To be used with or for the human consumption of a tobacco product and is not an accessory. So Next Generation Labs, they believe that this confirms that non-nicotine e-juice is not subject to the deeming rule as long as it's not marketed, distributed, and positioned to consumers as a product associated with tobacco or tobacco devices. My first question though is, if it's disassociated with tobacco products, how else can it be marketed, since e-juice is classified as a tobacco product if the intent is to use it in electronic cigarettes? I think this wording could give Next Generation Labs a way out of having to deal with the expensive PMTA process, but I don't think it really helps any of the e-juice makers out there who might want to use it. Other people are also theorizing that the FDA statement could also translate to vape gear, as long as it's not marketed for tobacco use, or if it's marketed only to use nicotine-free e-liquid. I've seen other people play devil's advocate with this. For example, let's say that synthetic nicotine isn't considered tobacco. Well then, it would be an unapproved synthetic drug, which would then need to be approved by the FDA as a new drug. I do think it would be cool if this all turned out to be true, but I just see this as another loophole that the FDA will cover with their very broad and clever wording of the deeming regulations, but I'll remain hopeful. Okay, so now let's talk about why you should peel off your battery stickers. So Battery Mooch, he just published a post on Phil Basardo's website. What Mooch recommends is to peel off the battery stickers that are on the battery wrap, not the battery wrap itself. You want to leave that on. Mooch says that these stickers are added by the reseller or distributor of these batteries after they receive them. It's a requirement to comply with shipping regulations, not a shady practice to hide anything, but in a lot of cases, batteries actually get the wrong stickers placed on them, and these stickers, they're hiding the true brand and specs of the battery. Even wraps can be faked, so if you truly want to determine what your battery is and what the seller said it is, you need to do a lot more detective work. For example, you need to compare your new battery to a known authentic battery for things like differences in the negative and positive terminals, markings on the battery, grooves, insulator rings, and so on. BatteryBro.com put together a great post on this that I talked about a while back, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested. So that's a lot of work that you might not want to go through, and if you're buying from most reputable vendors like IMRbatteries.com or Illume.com, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. In fact, those guys will actually reach out to you if they discover that they received a bad batch of batteries and sold them to you. So that's really cool of them. But just a quick and easy check that you can do is to peel off that sticker and see what it might be hiding. And I actually did that with one of mine. So this is what the sticker looks like. And if you peel that off, which I've done here on this battery, you can see that there are markings on the battery. So it's printed on the battery wrap. And on my battery, it says VTC4, so that's what I bought. So it's accurate, at least as far as I know. But so one simple check you can do, worth doing whenever you get new batteries. All right, now let's talk about how to cleanse your palate with e-juice. So here's a tip for resetting your taste buds between flavors. I came across a post on Reddit talking about making DIY e-juice that cleanses the palate. The person who posted this, he recommends mixing up some lemon and menthol and vaping it for 10 to 15 drags. Then you can get back to vaping your preferred e-liquid. And I can see how this would work for cleansing your palate, because both menthol and lemon are flavors that people have recommended when you aren't able to taste flavors anymore, which you might know as flavor or olfactory fatigue. So it makes sense that combining these two strong flavors would help with resetting your palate. They actually sound like they would taste pretty good together too. I've never suffered from olfactory fatigue, so I've never had to use a palate cleansing e-juice before, but it never really occurred to me that I should cleanse my palate just for the simple benefit of being able to taste my other e-juices better. The user, he didn't include any ratios or anything like that, but he did mention that he uses lemon Sicily for the lemon flavor, so that's a good start. For menthol, people usually suggest starting low, such as at around 0.25%, and then working your way up from there. 8 to 9% is generally considered pretty high for menthol, so you at least want to be careful about not starting in that percentage. I don't know much about menthol, but I know that you can buy either menthol crystals, which need to be mixed into PG and dissolved, or you can buy a pre-made solution. Pre-made would obviously be easier. And I did look on ecigexpress.com, and they sell menthol liquid concentrate for $3.49 for a 10 ml bottle, so pretty cheap. Also in this forum thread, another user mentioned a palate cleansing mix that he makes. It uses INW's Eucalyptus with mint, Flavor Art's Aurora, and INW's Cactus. And another user posted this one, INW Cactus at 2%, Flavor Art Menthol at 1%, and JF, I don't know what company that is, JF Lemon Juicy at 3%. I think vaping away flavor fatigue is a much more appealing way of getting rid of it than drinking vinegar or pickle juice. So give those recipes a try. I actually think I'm going to pick up some of that lemon Sicily and some menthol crystals so that I can make this and keep it around while I'm testing e-juices. And finally, I want to end the show with a great sign displayed in Gorilla Vapes. They're located in Middletown, New Jersey. For the podcast listeners, I'm going to read it out loud. It's really funny too because a lot of the wording is in tiny lettering, while the things that they aren't allowed to say due to the FDA's regulations are in really big letters. So the sign says, "Our shop is FDA compliant. This means we are not allowed to tell you that vaping is a safer alternative to smoking, or that the Royal College of London did a study showing vaping is 95% less harmful than cigarettes. Nor are we allowed to discuss the fact that many people use vaporizers to quit smoking for good. We are not even allowed to compare cigarettes to vapes, since e-juice only contains 4 ingredients and cigarettes contain over 4,000. So yeah, I think it's a funny way of sticking it to the man, but I also don't think that they would get away with it if an inspector came through and saw it, but pretty funny. Okay, so that's all I have for this week. You'll find the show notes for this episode on VapePassion.com. Just search for episode 49. If you want to support the show, consider donating to my Patreon page at patreon.com/VapePassion. You can follow me on Twitter at VapePassion. I'm also on Facebook if you want to leave me a message. If you like this weekly show, please consider giving me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already a subscriber. You can also subscribe to the podcast version of this show on either iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. If you'd like to get notifications of new reviews or of the show, you can sign up to receive my weekly email on VapePassion.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me anytime at alex@VapePassion.com. All right, I'll see you next week.